Very interesting conversation on healing after relationships after breaking up in relationships, various relationships, in family, in friendships, and most definitely in romantic relationships. And the conversation is incomplete without a psychologist, and we're speaking to Gilead Mwazala. Gilead, great to have you on the show. Now, as we take as we go back to the conversation on concept, I want you to respond to that, to pick it up from where we left it. While you're at it, please talk about how people can forgive themselves after they have initiated the breakup. There are people who beat themselves up all the time because they've been blamed. Oh, you've ruined somebody's life. Look at them now, they're suicidal. How can you forgive yourself from that? And of course, start with the concept you were mentioning.
Well, to begin with, before I respond to that question, there's something we talk about that is when you say that resentments are not justified.
Right.
It's a concept developed by Wayne Dyer. Wayne Dyer is a great writer. When he talked about resentments are not justified, it means I carry resentments.
Okay.
And resentment simply means it's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. So if I'm more resentful in a relationship because this other person left me, and I continue to carry that with me, what happens is I'm the one who continues to hurt.
Yes.
The more I continue to hurt, the more pain I'm in. The other person could be doing very well. Past probably moved on to another relationship.
Right.
Moved on to another person. But I'm the one who's hurting because I still carry that resentment with me. So letting go of that resentment is something that is very, very important. It's not for the other person's benefit, but for my benefit.
Okay. All right.
Getting to a point in time now, to respond to your question, getting to a point in time when we start to heal, getting to a point in time when we start to adjust, that is the beginning of healing. Could you kindly repeat your question?
The question was, how can you forgive yourself as an individual when you've been blamed for initiating, a breakup that has caused so much pain? Yes.
That's a very big problem that most people struggle with.
Okay.
Because sometimes when this happens, is people around you, especially what other people are saying and thinking. That's what now tends to affect us the most. Like you mentioned earlier, people start to feel like you ruined someone else's life.
That's true.
Someone was really depending on you. They even took you to their parents.
Yes.
They introduced you to their cousins. We begin by introducing people to our cousins
of
first.
Course, yeah.
And now these people start to turn on you and start to say, you've ruined this other person's life. Look at how depressed they are. I think the first thing that is very important is to analyze and to check what reasons did I do this in the first place. Because there are reasons. By the end of the day, we do things not on a whim. There are reasons why you did this relationship. So analyze that for yourself.
Okay.
There are reasons that you did this. Either this person was not available for you emotionally, physically, or other ways. And now this person not being available is one of the reasons why you considered this relationship breakup.
Right.
And that is something important to consider within yourself, that don't blame yourself too much. There's something you call self-compassion. Be compassionate to yourself. Be kind to yourself. And as therapists, we like giving people homework and telling them to write letters. And one of the letters people write is self-forgiveness letter. To communicate that kindness to yourself. That I, Gilead Mwazala, forgive myself for this and that. Yeah. And the other thing is to forget that, to not forget that it takes two to tango, isn't it?
Yeah, it does. Absolutely.
It takes two to tango. So either way, there's a role that the other person played. The question is, what role did the other person play that made you be in that position? So that you don't put all the blame on yourself. And the more you carry that, the more it interferes with you being in a healthy relationship, not only with yourself, but also with other people. And including also with your higher power.
That's for sure. All right, so let's move away from all things matters, romantic relationship. I've had this instance where somebody would seek advice from me. They'll be like, I'm having issues with my family, maybe my parents. And the first question that comes to mind, especially when it comes to, parents hurting you and they don't see that they're hurting you, and this is carried for years, so it traumatizes traumatizes you, and then you decide at one point, I just want to break away from that. That's why you hear children as young as 17, as young as 18, you go to college, you want to go far away, far from the parents. You know, who should be the person to forgive? Is it the older person or the younger person? The person to seek forgiveness. Is it the older person or the younger person to have the sanity in the mind?
That's an interesting question. Let me begin by responding to we call that emotional cutoff. And cutoff can be achieved in one of two ways. I'm moving away from my family to feel that I'm safe. I'm away from this toxic environment.
Yes.
And the other one is by avoidance of communication. But ultimately, these two forms are simply avoidance because I'm not addressing the root cause of my emotional struggle with my family.
Okay.
But by the end of the day, still, in as much as I'm moved away, I still feel the pain. I still feel the hurt. I still carry with me the emotional patterns that have been imbued within me from my parents.
True.
So the idea is to resolve them first. Now, as you've moved away, it's important that the person that is hurting the most to take the first step. If you feel comfortable to take the first step, that is okay. It's not up to any other person to take that step for you, because why are we doing this in the first place? Because I am hurting, I am in pain. And if you feel enough is enough, then you can initiate the first step. It doesn't have to be the parent. It doesn't have to be the sibling. It doesn't have to be any other person.
Yes.
It has to be you who takes the first step.
Okay.
And the idea is you're not doing it for them. You're not doing it for any other person.
But
you're doing it for yourself, because your emotional well-being is your responsibility.
I love that. Your emotional well-being is your responsibility, and people need to swallow their egos also.
Precisely.
Yeah, that's how you also make the first step to healing and being very, at peace.
Yes.
I love the way that you put that. So now the question would be, to heal entirely, is it advisable that you now cut off your triggers? If it's your parents, do you entirely cut them off to heal entirely? Or how do you go about it? Because there are people who would see it from a point of, if I don't see them at all, I'm at peace. If I see them, I'm at war. How do you go about that? If you want to heal entirely, is it advisable that you cut off, the triggers?
And triggers are quite a number.
They are. They could be a lot.
And now to surprise you is that sometimes the trigger doesn't have to be the person. The individual person that you're either resentful or have some negative emotion towards.
Okay.
It could be someone else entirely, someone who is out there just saying their own stuff, talking about their own things, and that triggers you. Earlier on, we said others are mirrors of us.
Yes.
Sometimes you may hear other people speak conversation which may not necessarily be related to you, but it affects you in one way or another.
Okay.
Especially matters related to family relationships. So the idea is, in as much as you are cutting off from these people.
Yes.
Have you healed? Have you dealt with these triggers such that even if you see them in other people, they won't affect you emotionally?
Okay.
And that is the question, because it's not about cutting off from all these triggers. And it's important sometimes to cut off from triggers, and that is when you feel like you have heightened emotions, you're feeling overwhelmed. But after the feeling of feeling overwhelmed comes down, then you can be able to get the point in time you start to address now the root cause of the problem. Let's deal with it. Let's focus on it, such that in as much as you run away, they'll still follow you around. You'll still watch a movie and you'll see a family, and that will make you feel a particular way.
Yes.
You'll see your friend interact with their family, and that will trigger you to react in a particular way.
So more effort is on you as an individual.
Yes, as an individual, you take that responsibility to start to check, yes, in as much as I've moved away from my emotional triggers,
yes,
can I now start to address this problem, this root cause of the problem? Do I need to go to therapy?
Yeah.
Do I need to talk it over with one of my friends? What do I need to do? Because something that is very, very important that can help one move from these emotional struggles is when you see a therapist. Because therapists are equipped with the techniques and counseling skills that can help you deal with the unresolved emotion.
Absolutely. I love that. We come back in just a bit and have that conversation further. 0719038963 is where you can, of course, channel all your comments. I'm going to read this comment from somebody who says you've actually helped him. It's very, very interesting. It's on Twitter, and this person goes by the name, let me grab a hold of that. Anaitwa Mbudhia Duncan. He says, Gotea Gilead, amewahi ni guide nilikuwa nakapitia from Nyeri, and we're having a candid conversation. Asante sana, Bwana Duncan, and I'm hoping that you're doing well right now.